What if I told you that the secret to becoming a truly effective leader isn't about mastering the art of persuasion, commanding attention, or even having a groundbreaking vision? It's about mastering yourself. That's right. The key to leading others with strength and clarity starts with how you lead your own mind and emotions. And here's where it gets really interesting. The ancient philosophy of Stoicism holds the tools that modern leaders desperately need, but rarely use. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Stoicism. Isn't that about suppressing emotions and being cold? Not even close. In fact, Stoicism is about something far more powerful: maintaining unwavering focus, calm under pressure, and a deep sense of purpose. Think about it. How often do we let emotions like frustration, fear, or ego hijack our decisions? How often does stress cloud our judgment or prevent us from showing up as the leaders we're meant to be? We've all been there. But what if there was a way to turn those emotional storms into opportunities for growth, clarity, and action? That's exactly what we're diving into today. In this video, I'm going to show you how the ancient principles of Stoicism can transform not only your leadership style, but also the way you approach every challenge in life. This isn't just philosophy. It's a mindset shift that will give you practical tools to become the calm, decisive, and inspiring leader you've always wanted to be. So, if you're ready to ditch the chaos, harness your inner strength, and lead with purpose, stick around. This could be the game changer you've been looking for. Let's get started. Number 1. The controlled chaos principle. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the world seems to unravel the moment you're least prepared for it? You've got a big meeting in 10 minutes, and suddenly your phone buzzes with an urgent issue. Or maybe you're on the verge of completing a major project, and someone decides now is the perfect time to throw you a curveball. Sound familiar? Well, here's a radical idea. What if we didn't just brace ourselves for chaos, but actually welcomed it? Stay with me here. This isn't about inviting unnecessary drama. It's about taking control of the uncontrollable. I call it the controlled chaos principle. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone want more chaos in their lives? I'm already juggling a million things as it is. But hear me out. Controlled chaos isn't about adding stress, it's about building strength. You know the type of person who always seems calm, collected, and decisive, no matter what's happening around them. They didn't get that way by accident. They got there by consistently exposing themselves to challenges and learning how to thrive in the midst of them. Think of it like a workout for your mind and emotions. If you never push your limits, how will you ever grow? We've all been there, sitting in a meeting where everything seems to be going off the rails, or dealing with that one person who has a talent for turning minor inconveniences into full-blown emergencies. In moments like these, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or frustrated. But what if, instead of resisting the chaos, you leaned into it? What if you practiced handling disruption in small, controlled doses, so that when the big storms hit, you were already steady on your feet? Here's how it works. Start by creating low-stakes disruptions in your routine. For example, the next time you're preparing for a team presentation, intentionally leave one part unscripted. Let someone throw you a curveball question and see how you respond. Or, in your personal life, try planning an outing without a rigid itinerary and adapt as things unfold. Yes, I know it sounds counterintuitive and maybe a little nerve-wracking, but that's the point. Controlled chaos teaches you to stay composed and resourceful, even when things don't go as planned. Let me tell you about the time I accidentally stumbled into this strategy. I was leading a workshop for a group of executives, and I had everything meticulously planned. Then, 5 minutes before I was set to begin, my laptop decided it had other plans. No slides, no notes, just me, a whiteboard, and a room full of expectant faces. For a split second, panic set in, but then I remembered. I'd been practicing handling unpredictability. I took a deep breath, adapted my approach, and turned the session into an interactive discussion. Not only did it work, it was one of the most engaging workshops I've ever led. Here's the beauty of the controlled chaos principle. It's not about perfection, it's about preparation. It's about reclaiming your confidence, your adaptability, and your peace of mind. When you learn to navigate small disruptions with grace, the big ones lose their power to shake you. You're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You're in control, even in chaos. So, the next time life throws you a curveball, or better yet, the next time you throw one at yourself, remember this: chaos isn't your enemy. It's your training ground. Embrace it, control it, and watch how it transforms your ability to lead with strength and clarity. This is your space, your peace, and your dignity. Hold on to it fiercely and let the rest fall into place. Number 2, radical accountability agreements. Let's get real for a second. How often do you find yourself dodging responsibility for something that wasn't entirely your fault? Maybe it's a team project gone sideways, a miscommunication that spiraled out of control, or a mistake made by someone you trusted. And before you know it, you're saying things like, "Well, that wasn't on me," or "If only they had listened." But here's the thing. What if owning it all, yes, all of it, could make you not weaker, but stronger? Sounds radical, right? It's called radical accountability agreements. And it's a game changer for leaders who are ready to take their influence to the next level. Now, you might be thinking, why should I take responsibility for things that aren't entirely my fault? Isn't that unfair? And trust me, I get it. It feels counterintuitive at first, like you're setting yourself up to be the perpetual fall guy. But here's where it gets interesting. When you take ownership, complete ownership, of your team's failures, something remarkable happens. You stop playing defense. You become the kind of leader people trust implicitly because they know you'll always show up and take responsibility no matter what. And trust, my friend, is the foundation of influence. We've all been in those messy, blame-filled meetings where everyone is pointing fingers, trying to dodge the fallout. You know the type. It's awkward, unproductive, and nobody leaves feeling good about it. But imagine this instead. You step up and say, "This one's on me. I take full responsibility." The room gets quiet. People look at you, a little shocked, maybe even a little guilty. But then something shifts. The conversation turns from blame to solutions, and suddenly you're leading, not just managing. Here's how radical accountability agreements work. First, you make a mental or even literal agreement with yourself to own the outcome of everything your team does. It doesn't matter if it's a misunderstanding, a misstep, or even a flat-out failure by someone else. You take responsibility. Why? Because as a leader, the buck stops with you. Second, you communicate this mindset openly to your team. Let them know, "I've got your back, always. If something goes wrong, I'll own it. But here's the deal, I expect you to step up too." This isn't about enabling laziness. It's about creating a culture of accountability where people are inspired to bring their best because they know you'll do the same. I'll never forget the first time I tried this. A critical project at work went off the rails. Missed deadlines, a budget overshoot, the works. My initial instinct was to point out all the ways others had dropped the ball. But instead, I walked into the review meeting and said, "This is on me. I didn't communicate expectations clearly, and I didn't catch the warning signs early enough." The room was silent for a moment. Then, one by one, team members started chiming in, taking accountability for their parts and offering solutions for next time. By the end of the meeting, not only did we have a clear plan to fix the issue, but the trust in that room had gone through the roof. Here's the power of radical accountability agreements. They're not about admitting defeat. They're about claiming your role as the ultimate problem solver. This is about creating a culture where mistakes aren't feared but faced, where everyone feels safe to grow, and where your leadership becomes a beacon of trust and strength. You'll reclaim your influence, your team's loyalty, and your ability to steer the ship, no matter how rough the waters get. So, the next time something goes wrong, whether it's a missed opportunity, a fractured relationship, or a chaotic project, remember this. Owning it isn't about blame, it's about boldness. Take it all on, set the tone, and show the kind of strength that inspires others to do the same. That's not just leadership, that's legacy. Number 3, emotional minimalism. Mandate. Have you ever felt like your emotions were running the show? Like one frustrating email ruins your entire day, or a passing comment sticks in your head for hours, replaying on a loop. It's exhausting, isn't it? Here's the harsh truth. We give too much power to things that don't deserve it. And what if I told you that by decluttering your emotional responses, you could reclaim your energy, your focus, and your peace? This is what I call the emotional minimalism mandate. It's not about shutting down your feelings. It's about choosing which ones are worth your time. Now, you might be thinking, sure, but how do you just stop reacting? Isn't that human nature? And yes, it is. But think about it this way. We already curate everything else in our lives. We declutter our closets, we Marie Kondo our homes, and we even filter our social media feeds. Why shouldn't we do the same for our emotions? We've all been there. Someone cuts you off in traffic and suddenly you're fuming, replaying the moment long after it's over. Or a coworker sends a passive-aggressive message and you waste an entire evening crafting the perfect comeback in your head. You know the type of situation, right? It's like carrying around emotional clutter that you don't need. Emotional minimalism is about cutting through that noise. It starts with a simple question. Does this deserve my reaction? Most of the time, the answer is no. Here's the thing. When we react to every little annoyance or insult, we're essentially handing over our emotional control to others. It's like saying, here, you decide how I feel today. That's not power, that's surrender. By practicing emotional minimalism, you learn to pause, assess, and let go. It's not about being cold or detached, it's about being deliberate. Let me tell you a story. A while back, I was in a meeting where someone outright dismissed one of my ideas. Not subtly, blatantly. My first instinct was to defend myself, to jump in and argue. But instead I paused and thought, does this person's opinion really matter in the grand scheme of things? The answer was no. So I nodded, made a quick note, and moved on. Later, the same person came back to me privately, acknowledging my idea had merit. By not reacting emotionally, I kept my composure and, honestly, my dignity. Here's the beauty of emotional minimalism. It frees you. Imagine the mental space you'd have if you stopped replaying every awkward conversation or stewing over every minor slight. It's like clearing out a cluttered attic. You make room for what truly matters. And the best part? People notice. When you're calm and composed in situations where others would spiral, you exude confidence and control. That's leadership. That's strength. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending things don't bother you. It's about reclaiming your emotional energy for the things that do matter. Your passions, your growth, your relationships. Every time you choose not to react to something trivial, you're taking back a little piece of your peace. You're setting boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. So, the next time you feel that spark of irritation or frustration bubbling up, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Most of the time, you'll find it's not. And when you let it go, you'll feel lighter, freer, and more in control. Because this is your life, your emotions, and your peace. Hold on to them tightly and let the rest slip away. That's the power of emotional minimalism. Number 4. The mirror hour ritual. Have you ever caught a glimpse of yourself in a mirror at an unexpected moment and felt like you didn't quite recognize the person staring back? It's unsettling, isn't it? That split-second realization that maybe, just maybe, you've been rushing through life without checking in with the one person who matters most, you. What if I told you there's a way to reconnect with yourself daily, and all it takes is an hour, or even less? It's called the mirror hour ritual, and it might just change the way you see yourself forever. Now, you're probably thinking, a ritual in front of a mirror. Isn't that a little awkward? Yes, it might sound strange at first. But think about it. How often do we truly pause to acknowledge ourselves, to look ourselves in the eye without judgment or distraction? We live in a world where every reflective surface becomes a quick check for flaws. Is my hair okay? Is that a wrinkle? But what if you used that moment to find clarity instead of criticism? We've all been there, so busy pouring into others that our own reflection starts to look like a stranger. It's time to change that. The mirror hour ritual is simple but powerful. Every day, carve out a few minutes to stand in front of a mirror, not to fix your hair, not to check your outfit, but to see yourself. Look yourself in the eyes and say out loud, "What do you need today?" Let the question sink in. It might feel silly at first, even uncomfortable, but stick with it, because that discomfort, that's where the magic begins. You're rewiring your brain to recognize that your needs, your emotions, your existence, they matter. I started this ritual during one of the most chaotic times in my life. Work was overwhelming, relationships felt strained, and I was running on empty. One day, I stood in front of the mirror, frustrated, and muttered, "What's wrong with you?" The reflection didn't answer, of course, but something clicked. I realized I never actually asked myself what I needed. I was too busy critiquing and pushing, so I changed the question. "What do you need?" That first day, the answer was so simple it made me laugh. "A nap," I whispered. And you know what? I took that nap, guilt-free. It felt like giving myself permission to be human. Over time, the mirror hour ritual became a daily habit. Some days, the answers were practical. Drink more water. Call a friend. Other days, they were deeper. Stop doubting yourself. Let it go. Each answer felt like peeling back a layer, getting closer to the version of me I wanted to be. The mirror stopped being a place for judgment and became a place for connection. And let me tell you, when you start to listen to yourself, really listen, everything shifts. You start showing up differently, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. This ritual isn't about vanity or self-indulgence. It's about self-respect. It's about reminding yourself that you're worth the time and effort it takes to check in, to care, to be kind to yourself. You'll be amazed at how this small act of presence can ripple through your life. It's grounding, it's empowering, it's like hitting the reset button for your soul. So, tomorrow, or better yet, today, stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, ask, "What do you need?" And then, listen. The answer might surprise you, but it will always be exactly what you need to hear, because this is your moment, your reflection, your ritual. Honor it. Number 5, the adversity simulation doctrine. What if I told you that the best way to prepare for life's toughest moments is to simulate them? I know, it sounds a bit intense, maybe even unnecessary. Why would anyone want to rehearse hardship? Life throws enough curveballs as it is, right? But hear me out. What if instead of waiting for adversity to blindside you, you took control and turned those moments into a strength-building exercise? That's the idea behind the adversity simulation doctrine. And trust me, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. In fact, it's empowering. We've all been there. You're cruising through life, thinking everything's fine, and then bam, something hits you out of nowhere. A financial crisis, a tough conversation, a personal failure. Suddenly, you're in the deep end, gasping for air. You know that panicky feeling, the one where your brain's spinning, your emotions are flaring, and you're thinking, why wasn't I ready for this? Well, here's the thing. Most of us aren't ready because we don't practice being uncomfortable. We avoid it, and that avoidance makes the inevitable impact so much harder to bear. The adversity simulation doctrine flips the script. Instead of dodging discomfort, you embrace it on your own terms. You create controlled environments where you can practice resilience. For example, let's say you're worried about finances. Instead of waiting for an emergency to test your budget, simulate a tight money scenario for a week. Cut back on non-essentials, make do with what you have, and see how it feels. Or if you're nervous about a tough conversation with a colleague, rehearse it in your head, or better yet, with a trusted friend. Walk through the emotions, the words, the reactions. The more you simulate, the less daunting the real thing becomes. I remember the first time I tried this. I was gearing up for a major presentation at work, and public speaking wasn't exactly my forte. The thought of standing in front of a room full of people made my stomach churn. So, I decided to simulate the pressure. I stood in front of a mirror, then in front of my family, and eventually in front of a small group of friends. I asked them to give me tough feedback, not the sugar-coated kind. It was uncomfortable. I stumbled over my words, my hands shook, and I felt ridiculously vulnerable. But you know what? By the time the real presentation rolled around, I was ready. It wasn't perfect, but it was solid. And more importantly, I didn't feel like I was going to collapse under the pressure. This isn't about making life harder for the sake of it. It's about building a mental and emotional toolkit so that when adversity shows up, and it will, you don't crumble. Instead, you respond with a calm, collected mindset. You've been here before. You've practiced this. It's like a fire drill for your soul, and the beauty of it? The more you simulate adversity, the less scary it becomes. You start to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to grow. This is about reclaiming your power, your confidence, and your ability to navigate life with grace. It's about knowing that no matter what comes your way, you've got this. So why not give it a shot? Start small. Pick one area of your life where a little resilience could go a long way. Simulate it, feel it, and learn from it. Because the truth is, life isn't about avoiding the storms, it's about learning how to dance in the rain. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video on Stoicism and effective leadership. I truly hope it provided you with valuable insights and practical strategies to enhance your leadership approach. If you found this content helpful, please give the video a like. It helps us reach more people who might benefit from these ideas. For more content on leadership, personal growth, and applying timeless principles to modern challenges, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you know someone who could use a fresh perspective on leadership or is curious about Stoicism, share this video with them. It might just be the spark they need. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. What part of Stoicism resonates most with your leadership journey? Have you ever faced a situation where staying calm and focused made all the difference? Share your experiences or questions in the comments below. Your input adds so much value to our community. Remember, effective leadership starts within. The principles we've explored today are tools to help you stay steady, focused, and purpose-driven in a world full of distractions. Carry that mindset forward, and you'll not only lead others effectively, but also inspire them to do the same. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and keep leading with purpose.